Welcome everyone to this presentation. We have Violetu Calian here, the Chief Methodologist at Statistics Iceland, to talk to us about the wage price index.
Okay, thanks very much. Hello everybody, also to people who did not make it and are now having a good time somewhere on vacation probably. I have a co-author to this work, and this was I have to thank you for the invitation to present our work about the wage index, because I know it is a very tricky problem for everybody and it is important. I looked at it from a very theoretical point of view, but using the very empirical, data-driven things that I can use for checking how things are. And I first looked some years ago on this, and when the external review was requested, and when we had to first revise for our own benefit what's going on, how do we do it, why do we do it, why this and other choices are made. And this is kind of the history of all. And then things are continuously improving, we hope, and we have ideals or wishes for even greater improvements if possible. And we also managed to add in the meantime new index numbers to make a more complete picture, because this particular index number cannot give the whole message and the whole story. As some of you might know, if not we will see why. So I'm going to go very briefly. I try to have a few slides. I don't want you to get too bored or tired. About how things are done. Why do you think that new data is necessary? We are trying to improve our data. Something about the analysis and the new index numbers. And well, the main purpose in my case is to collect from new things. So I would really like to hear suggestions, not criticism. We are excellent. We also have it. You will see lots of stuff that we would like to do better and so on. That's also welcome, but suggestions, this will be gold, of course. So this is the goal. I will start with the conclusions somehow, because in case you get bored, I don't want you to miss them. So the conclusions are, so we did this quite careful, we think, analysis of the way the Icelandic wage price index, I call it like this carefully because it is a price index. I want to underline that. It refers to the wages, but it's a price index, and it's Icelandic, well, of course. And so these are the main things we think we find. The structure that is based on is a good hierarchy, and we will see a bit why that's so good. The formula choices, because a price index has many, many options, as you may know. There are many possible solutions for it, many types of formulas. So we think that's a very advantageous formula that we choose. Then, well, we just use standard methods. We don't invent the wheel. This is not, it's just standard theory of price index. And we use as good data as we have. Well, this data is not perfect, of course, but as good as possible. We will come back to that. And then we checked on the chaining drift, because we know it's a big worry, and it is theoretically for any guy who does indices or indexes. And well, since we are using a total drift-based index, that is kept under very small things. That there are theoretical results, I will quote, and there is empirical check of that. Well, it should not happen if I was looking at scanner data. Then you have a horrible drift, because the oscillations of the prices and of the weight, the expenditure weight, very aggressive all the time. Here things are rather monotonous, as you know. We basically increase. There's a trend which is increasing. We looked at quality changes. Here will be, I know, the one of the crux of the matter. This was a recommendation from the external review. Look, please, at the education and experience effect just like, and try to do hedonic model, just like we do for houses when we take the characteristic of the house, the surface, the position, things like that, or the computer, the chip, the, I don't know, generation, or the phone. We put this characteristic and then you model and everything is fine. And I agree completely, and as a theoretician I like. There are little problems with that though, we will see that, because the people don't have very fixed characteristics or very well defined. Because the experience or the ability to perform in a job is not always given by the number of years. I would say my colleague who is half my age, probably better than me, very soon. No problem about this, doesn't guarantee that I'm better than him in any way. And so on. So there are many issues, maybe we mentioned some of that. So it's more difficult to identify the characteristics which really define the employer-employee in a given occupation, even in an even economic activity performance. That's a tricky story. But it can be done. And actually I did what I could, because by the way we have the gender pay gap models which have improved, and if you want a good model, that's a better one, because it tries to avoid omitted variables things and to fixed and random infections, so it's a multi-level and hierarchical and looks at development through time. So it tries to do as well as possible, capturing correlations and so on. So we know how to model. Okay, fine, let's do that. We will see what's the problem with that. Apart from the fact that characteristics are a bit subjective and there are many more than education and age or experience, work satisfaction, quality of the coffee, conditions of work, the quality of your boss, and so on. Okay, so this, they're not in a model. Then there was another thing that we had to check. It was average earnings index as an option. Some people proposed that. And we concluded that not only us, but our external reviewer proved mathematically very carefully. We referred to a paper and checked some empirical that this is not a good alternative because it captures many other things in it, like compositional effects. And we will look at the main challenges, lots of them, because many of the so-called great theoretical choices that we make work, given that, the data is in a certain way. So then you have to make sure your data is like that. So you have a good coverage. You don't have strange patterns that you are not capturing out of the things that you are sampling. And you want to refresh your sample and so on. So these are things that we are always fighting with. The coverage is actually, according to our external reviewer, amazing, because no country has such a great percentage of the contracts, employment contracts, captured by the index or used up by the index. But we are still not happy with that. I mean, things we know can be much better than that. I mean, things, various aspects of the market can be better reflected or more detailed. And actually, more detail is the keyword, remember that. And then, well, all these things are about the methods. So I think we did calculations analytically, and we tried to check or test them on the data. And both us and the external reviewer was really great, in my opinion. We converged about something. He insisted that we do the hedonics, and we did that, those two. So, okay. Let's see if I manage. Okay. So I just briefly, in case somebody does not remember, so the price index, it is a price index. The item we are talking about is hourly wages. We want to measure the changes of these wages between 2 points in time, but only the change is determined by market forces. Wonderful idea. Okay. Not always very simple to do. And I mentioned here while many other bad things are happening, interfering with your beautiful goals of capturing only the market So the samples, because we don't have full census data, I mean complete data, sample changes with time. Your hierarchy structure varies with time. You have items coming and going from your substructures and so on. Per system items change, as we just talked about, the guys who stay there. And okay, maybe you want long time series and all kinds of errors about collecting data and measuring. And here I want to underline that doing this index, there are more than one, teams working. I mean, there would be a theoretical one, the best, I mean, the easiest, because you have the theory, you have the books, and everything is perfect. But then there is the production guys who have to deal with the real data and the guys who collect data, our guys and the guys who give us the data. And there come a lot of issues. Errors about transforming that data they collect into the standards we ask for, errors in transmitting, non-coverage, and so on. So many errors can happen there. So I enumerated again the known challenges of all index numbers, not necessarily ours. Everybody has to do some theoretical choices. How do I structure what is my smallest aggregate? It has to be homogeneous, otherwise it's so wrong. We have to deal with time series issues. We have the real data, as I said, and again, the steps that I just mentioned basically before. So we are aware of all this, and one has to do the best one can given this difficulties. What is this one? Hey, doesn't want to change the page.
You have to move the mouse into the screen. Or
okay.
Something.
It was out. Where is it? Okay. 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 So there are solutions. I will not insist on that. You probably all know them already for all these challenges that any index number has. Modeling, algorithmic model, dummy, multilateral index numbers, you change, you fix a base, you refresh your sample, you update your weight. These are the ways to deal with the problems that I just enumerated. That's all about Nuller. Okay. So we get now into the data structure. So how do we get our data? As I say, it's sampling. We are, our ideal is to have full data coverage. So census type of data it is called. These here are certain. We want to have 100%. Of course, then you can aim for the perfect coverage and the perfect index number, formula choice, and everything will be fine. We're not yet there, of course. And the structure is a kind of hierarchical. The elementary aggregate, you will see it in a moment again, defined, the smallest possible. And then these elementary aggregates are grouped by occupation and economic activities, the so-called CEL, for the private sector, or by federation of labor unions for the public sector. Then you have sectors of the economy. This is a rougher thing. I think they do some sub-indexes here. They divide the private sector, so they group them according to the needs of the users too. And eventually you have the whole economy, so that's nothing very strange here. And I'm coming back to the formulation of the problem because I want to make sure that we know what is the elementary aggregate of the item, the smallest thing. We try to hierarchically look at it. And for that, I remind you what the price index problem is. This is, it's almost non-well-posed problem. I mean, a very difficult thing to do because you have to write this ratio of two sums of products as a sum of two numbers. Of course, it's hard to capture with one number the evolution of all these guys. You have prices for each type. This is Fisher, old Fisher. Just like in the CPI, you have the prices, or in our case, the wages for all kinds of guys, or types of guys, or groups of guys, or individuals. And we work in this or that company. how to combine this in a number, of course, that's, okay, mission very difficult. So, I review this item, is this N tuple, I call it. So, a given employer with a given employee in the same occupation and economic activity. There should be more. We know that. Ideally, if you want a perfect thing, you should capture here much more. Exactly what the position in the company is, what is star 80 or I don't know, star something, details about it. Well, this information is not exactly available. I'll come back a bit to it because that's one of the keys that creates issues. But we do something, at least manual and automatic checks on these items, because we know when all of the items change something in their prices because of a common agreement, collective agreements or some events like that, when groups should change according to some rules. But then when you see some unusual thing which is not justified by any change like that, you deduce that this item of yours broke, something happened. The guy was changing his position somewhere in the company. So there are even manual checks, and there were much more in the past, I must say, than there are in recent years, I understand, because of lack of workers who can do that. Well, going to detailed verifications of the sources and what happened to this guy, what changed about him, or why. And automatic, because we have some thresholds, so to detect changes, sudden changes, unjustified by all these other things. And okay, so I also wrote that we have to remember that an index is just a generalized average of changes, weighted, very much so, actually. And okay, I will not go through this. You all know the theory. There are many formulas you can choose from. There are many approaches you can take. These approaches try to put some conditions, some requirements on the index that you choose. Various of these guys perform better or worse according to the rules that you established by these approaches. The axiomatic, for example, very much used for the CPI, I think, a lot. There are 22 conditions or something that establishes for your index to satisfy if you want good performance, mathematically speaking. This superlative indices you saw also last time in the very good presentation we all heard, or most of us heard, some weeks ago. Historically and Fisher, there are superlative indices, and they behave much better. They satisfy a lot of the axioms. In our case, what we were interested a lot was that this theoretical property, that if your prices and your weights behave somehow regularly, they have monotonic trend, then you don't see this chaining drift if you use storm-based. So this storm will satisfy this kind of condition exactly. Of course, in real life, things are not perfect. The trend is not perfectly linear, but it's almost there. So it's approximatively, but very close to the ideal. So this is says, okay, you have a good choice of your number to work with. I will not go home. Where is it? Okay, and then how do you calculate it? There are these issues, and the main one is things change about the items that you have there for more than one period, of course. And on the other hand, of course, there are coming and disappearing items. That's another issue. They don't stay forever, but they go away, and so on. And for coming and going, things are rather well fixed by the fact that you update your weights at each point in time. So the guide is there, but then you update the weights of all the guys for there. So then you still get kind of a good picture. And you look at only two moments in time rather close to each other at each choice. So you can have an index between 2 points in time, or between many 2 points in time next to each other. And then you can just look from now for 10 years, but you can look from now until next month and until next month and so on, and try to connect them. And each choice can have dangers. So if you choose this choice, I always have a fixed point to which I compare things. Your sample after a while has nothing to do with the original sample, especially in the CPI case. It's just nonsense. So this is non-representative after a while. This guy corrects for this, but you can have the drift. And what you do, well, I can try to fix that too. I choose a good number, I choose something to try to avoid that. And in our case, you are just lucky also on top of this, because your wages are kind of increasing most of the time. There is no strong thing like in CPI. And, okay, quality changes, of course. If you can't eliminate by your matching process, they will stay there and they will bias your index. So here are the things that I just mentioned now. There are ways to deal with this problem. How to do it. We know how to do it. The main mitigating factors are update your weights, get a good coverage, update your samples. Here is a weakness for us. We don't update the sample extremely frequently because the coverage is also very big, so okay. But also practical reasons stay in the way. Don't ask me the practical reasons. I have a production expert there, and we have some data collection experts at home. So, but there are big things about it. It's a big work behind that. And okay, in my opinion, if you use your tortoise, actually ideally all the way up, but okay, even at this part of the way up, not completely all the way. And if you have full coverage, 100%, then you get ideal results. Of course, nobody has that. Surprise, surprise. Another option is, as I say, the hedonic models. Let's model. I mean, why to explore this? Because, first of all, practically speaking, it was recommended to us. Personally speaking, I like modeling. And there are plenty of used examples in the case of CPI, CPI calculation. We do this. Well, okay, when you say that, then you have many choices to do. What is your model? As I say, you can do a hierarchical model, you can do regression for each point in time on each cell. Your cells are sometimes very thin, as Kim said, our invited guy, this cross-classification of occupation and economic activity can give you very thin, doesn't work. And then I say, can I pull? Yes, pull then. Pull for several points in time, or pull several other things, but do something, and estimate your model. So there are, as I say, many choices. If you do a multi-level model, actually you don't have this problem. So it's better, just like we do for the GPG. Okay, and then what? You model, and then it means you estimate some of the wages that you are not pleased with, either because they disappear, or to eliminate, to adjust for the influence of the quality, which appears in your model, so then you want to get rid of it. You want to identify it and get rid of it. So, okay, I'm saying apart from choosing your model, there is other thing, which as a mathematical statistician you have to do. You absolutely will have to make sure you report on uncertainty of your estimates of any kind. So, therefore, agreeing that. We also should do the same. Even if we don't do hedonics, we do much more, but there are errors there due to sampling. Okay? Well, there are biases that can show up also for the hedonics, as you see here. Several of them are omitted variables, proportion of missing items, the fact that the observed versus missing don't have the same kind of variances. So your model doesn't capture the whole picture. And, well, choice of characteristics. It is very easy for houses, yes, but it's not so easy for people in companies, in working conditions. Well, absolutely. I mean, you all know, we are going to change our office. our desk, our computer. Okay, don't go into details. So, okay, this definition is a bit more tricky when it comes to the wage index. But we can still do something about it. We can identify the main guys, the main culprits, and try to adjust for this. And then, okay, you have to do revisions, because your model will not be good forever. You have to refit, recheck, retest, maybe improve it, hopefully improve it. Okay, well, maybe you change the characteristic set. Some disappear, some appear. New AI tools appear. The use of AI, this guy has no idea, he's old. Okay? Things like that. You can imagine all kinds of radical, I'm exaggerating of course a lot here, but just for the purpose of shocking people. And, well, as I said, many other characteristics should be included there. But once you have this wonderful thing, you can have transitive drift-free indexes. And you can include observation at all time points. Okay, this says, well, you don't always have all time points. You might have an issue about which time point you want to put into your model. Okay, not so maybe dramatic. And so these were the good and the bad of both approaches, as you saw. And here is in one busy slide, which you don't have to try to go through any deep reading, but I will say why I put it. The exploration of the contribution of the quality factor. And this story has two aspects. One is the ideal aspect, the theoretical one, which Kim and I saw, unfortunately. Yes, as you say, you model, you put your characteristics, let's imagine regression, maybe you have a time dummy if you want to pull, because it doesn't work out, maybe you have a fixed effect, maybe not, you try to make it as well as you can. And if you do that, and you calculate the relative difference between your index with and without this quality in the model, you get to this kind of factor, which kind of is the correction that you might want to make. This is theory. This factor is small. It's not a very big impact, but it accumulates. That's true. If you change this, guys, forever, these little things accumulate to something, maybe not extraordinarily small after 10 years, after 20 years. So it's not completely negligible. It's significant statistically, but it is very, very small. But that's not the whole story. Something I found out much later is that, well, the things don't happen like this. The things happen like this. And this is launavísitölu. And people jump into launavísitölu in not very clear ways. They don't always move like this, because they go for 1 year and they go one step in education or something. This doesn't happen. So the things that define exactly the way the change in your wage happens is reflected by that, but not determined as deterministically as the fact that you did this or that. If I go and go for a job now in Hagstofu as the cashier, well, they would not care where am I about studies and experience at all. They would put me at the first cell. Maybe they say, I'll give you a few more cells because we like you are hard work. So, quality, you see. They notice I work very hard, I'm very conscientious. So again, I'm making a hyperbola out of it and I simplified it, but I at least became aware of this particular way, the fact that people do move in this launavísitölu in not deterministic necessarily ways, as an extra effect, which is not captured by the data in any way, the data as it is. As I said, we notice these sudden changes, outliers, sometimes, and then one checks what's happening here. That's one thing, but this can have a much bigger presence in the phenomenon. And unless we can get a very good grip on what happened,
Yeah, just asking, because you said that That's not captured in the presentation?
But
There's in the wage tables?
you don't have details on that because of two reasons. One, not all the providers of data do report details on these things. Secondly, they don't manage to change the position of people in the launavísitölu very accurately.
But they
Although
they record the wage increase and you get that.
Yes,
you don't
yes.
get it as a reason.
Exactly, but we don't know why. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Just wanted to
So
clear that
you
up.
don't get why. I want the why. And not only me. So everybody wants the why. And the why is here, the way people move through this or enter or exit various positions in there. So you need extra data somehow, not trivial to get from the providers of data, or some other clever way, which we are trying to invent somehow, to look from up down somehow to try to isolate the effect of this particular, I don't know, negotiations. I would say the point-wise negotiations or something that happens there at that level. And yeah, I have a few more notes, don't worry about them. This is just my favorite thing. Like the hedonic models, as I said, they are not unique because I'm a big fan of modeling. So there are problems. What do you estimate? What data you use? What model you choose? What formula you do? That don't worry much, but you did some theoretical work on this, which is very nice, actually. Okay. Where is that? Okay, and this is my joke. Everybody has a joke and semi-joke, actually. Well, hedonic model. No. This is your new hedonic model. Yes. And let's be up to date and do the quality adjustments accordingly. I have very little left. Where is that? Can I find it? I don't see very well. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, okay. And another thing about hedonics and things, which I was pointing out last time, maybe not very well, was that if you do the modeling approach and the match data and you compare things, you have to keep in mind that you have this confidence interval or uncertainty bands around your estimate. And most of the time, your matched model will be inside this confidence band of the hedonics. If you do good match model, at least. And these are papers from the kind of a CPI territory more, not from people. There are not so many about wage indexes. And, well, as we said, as one of the conclusions, okay, the wage index, first of all, it cannot capture everything that happens in one number. And that's why we proposed several numbers for a good picture for the users who want to argue about this or that and try to balance what to do, how to do. So there are many things, and they include or not include effects of this or that other phenomena that happen. Include the way the compositional effects, or include hour working or not. So different measures reflect different things, and we publish these additional measures. This one, though, is not a standard. It was proposed as done, but we have just average earnings. We don't have an index. It was decided by our external reviewer, and by us it's not extremely useful. Kim proved theoretically very careful that the assortment thing is not well dealt with by that. We didn't do that, but we say, of course it's different. First of all, mathematically, that is a ratio of two arithmetic averages, while the other indices are ratios of weighted geometric type of averages. So, of course, it gives you different things. Most of the time, the result will be close, if nothing much happened in the market. The composition didn't change too much, and so on. But when these things happen, how low earners, big earners move around a lot, this will capture this. And for some reasons, you might like it. You want to measure that. For some others, you don't want. You want only the market. So, okay, so I think the picture is bigger than one might think. We have many tools. And, well, is this done anywhere else? The best I found, or the closest, is the Australian. They do very, very similar structure. Actually, I think they use last payers index. We use asset only at the very top, so to have additivity between sub-sectors, but only at the very top. But they do matching jobs, so irrespective of the person, of anything, if there is a specification of the job, they match that between 2 points in time, but otherwise, no. Other guys do other things that you probably know about already.
Can you comment a little bit on the ECI for you, say, just because it appears to be, you know.
Yeah, this one?
Yeah. How is that?
This is.
Comparable or different?
I think the type of earnings that we incorporate are different. The composition, the things that go in that. I don't remember honestly now what it is, but.
What does ECI stand for?
Employment cost index.
Employment cost index, and this is labor cost index. So they are a bit different from each other about what they include, about what you get paid or what the employer pays for you for your work.
The labor cost index has the total labor cost.
Exactly. Yeah. They look from from kind of the employment point of view somehow. Yeah. And this is a bit different, but I don't remember what it is. But it's an index, and it's about paying for work. So this was the best. There are in Europe they do a lot of this, and New Zealand, because they have to compare across countries, and we do, and so of course that's a choice. Obviously.
Can I ask you one more thing? What do they do in the Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Denmark? Do they do labor cost indexes?
And they do that because they have to report, yes. And otherwise they don't do. They do some earnings software, maybe close to UK, but they do one version of that. Yes.
Is the labor cost index, is that a recommendation from the European Union?
Eurostat wants to centralize this, and we produce two, certainly. So everybody does this. Yeah. Well, you can argue forever about that. There are various issues with it too. No problem. The conclusion I wanted to keep the optimistic part. We work hard at this. We try to make the most out of the data we get. We try to improve our data, and we try to publish other things to make the picture better. Since we can't completely, give the absolute idea which does not easily exist. And I have some appendices if anybody wants, but I don't think so. So in Appendix 1 was our wishes for the future, and that is also about the data improvement and even the index choices improvement on top, in my opinion at least. But I don't know. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
Are you finished?
Yes, I'm basically. I can stop any time you like. Yeah.
I wanted to pose a question.
You
mentioned about the earnings indexes.
Yeah.
And that they were inferior in terms of not controlling for the quality.
Not necessarily inferior. It depends what you want to do. What you want to reflect. Yeah.
It is a deficiency in
there are some
type of indexes. Usually, people have been comparing the labor
cost index,
wage index, and the average wage, where you have the total number of working hours as published by the statistics Iceland.
So you got this average earning kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's not.
They don't fit very well. You mean?
There is a large and systematic difference.
Discrepancy, yes.
And
there is.
People that would agree that the wage index is methodologically superior.
Not necessarily methodologically superior.
It controls for the quality differences. Well, the other one doesn't.
Yeah, it depends what you want to kind of reflect or measure.
It is...
They're both good, but for different things.
Allow me to
Finish
the question.
Okay.
It's not this difference in methodology that is the main thing. It is the size of the difference between the average earnings and the index, the wage index.
Okay.
And then you come to one explanation, which is popular, which says that this difference, which has been that the wage index has been increasing faster than the average earnings, and quite a lot. And that's because there is an increasing weight of low-paid workers in the total of
because
the labor market.
This guy will capture that, yes.
Have you checked if that, have you simply
we looked at the composition.
done you have the industries, you have the occupations, and you can make a matrix, and you can see if this explains a significant part of the difference.
Yes, but it doesn't explain everything. You are right, it doesn't explain everything. These things that nobody wants to look at are about, for example, how these average characteristics like education or age on a given cell, occupation, economic activity, change with time. And you see these are oscillating up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. The oscillations are not very high. So this is not a major. It can give explain part of the difference. And it should. It should, because the average earning index should show exactly that, how it matters who goes into the index, how much of this or that those guys go. But it's not all. And I say the rest is here. The rest is this one, it's a corporate, I would say.
There's another worry that, people understand that you have these increases in wages by seniority.
Yes.
Seniority in employment and seniority, just seniority.
Right.
Then people think people leaving the jobs are on the average with higher wages than those that replace them.
Yes.
And that can explain the difference, or if people say the overestimation of the true wage increases in Iceland.
Yeah, well, we look at exactly this, and this kind of theoretical that Kim and us did, and we converge on it, and the check of these variations that goes in here on the real data. So this is not the main thing, but it has an impact. It has. It's rather small, but it has, and it's significant, statistically. But as you see, it's very, very small impact. If you isolate only this, as we know, it's not only this. But I think this discrepancy, or this, I've heard more and more recently, I'm not very connected to the real life. I have to tell this from the start. I'm into this thing here. So, but I heard more and more recently about what actually the real problems with the data are. And then I saw about this thing that the rate is getting faster, and it goes not according to what we expect. And the more we dug into the causes, the more we get here in these negotiations, which do not go according to the theory, into a theoretical model, basically. This movement in the launavísitölu that people negotiate for themselves or for small group, they are getting into changes in the wages which are not captured by anything. By our data, which would be wonderful, is matching. If we have the perfect thing here with the excellence.
I just wanted to ask you, you have an oscillation at 2 points in time, and you can see a change in the average rate between those 2 points. And do you have an idea of, let's see, the agreements made in that sector for the time period?
We know about those.
Have you, I don't know if you've done this, but have you published results that show you the decomposition of changes in wages.
Due to this or that?
Yeah, so you can decompose the average change according to the wage agreement, the change according to exit of high seniority, entry of low seniority, and the impact of the launavísitölu.
No,
Have you done anything like that?
It could be done, but we did something similar when, for example, when the hours worked changed.
Yes.
Because, then a cost index jumped, and then we publish this separation of the
I
things.
think it is very important.
It would be great. I will show you my last slide.
But I think it would be very nice. I think it would be very nice if you could publish that kind, because often the debate on the questions asked about the index are not taking into account of that. So it would be very nice if you could do that kind of decomposition, because then you could isolate possibly somehow the wage drift, which might not be explained by any of these.
By any of these things, and that's what our experience is, that it is bigger than all the things. This is my last line on the slide today, and it was the future works or dreams or wishes. And one of them was to publish the effects, the report, the quality effects, and any other effects, and which ones, I will take notes of your suggestion, definitely. Exactly as we did about, for example, the impact of the working hours. This was isolated and reported exactly on it. This is due to the hours. This is not due. So exactly similar we could do. This is due to this.
How much do you know about launavísitölu? How much do you know?
I don't know much.
No.
I just know there are two coordinates. One kind of supposed to reflect your experience, some which is supposed to reflect some about your education or competence. And I know there is a very detailed grid. State companies move through the grid in some more predictable ways and more careful ways, and also update the data they give us more carefully because of this. Private sector does not do it as predictable and as careful, and does not report always very well what happened to this guy, why is he all of a sudden somewhere else. And we don't know what happened in there or another. So it's not always a perfect, it doesn't cover all our data, all our data.
Can I ask you one final question? What is the largest gap in your coverage? Is it the high income earners that have no written agreement?
I don't know where is it. Do you know where it is? No.
ASI-hópurinn mjög stór.
ASI?
Já.
Is there a gap in the ASI?
The coverage.
Coverage?
The coverage,
No.
What is the biggest gap you have? What is the biggest coverage?
The places which don't get data.
Það aðalega hjá almennumarkaðurinn hjá þessum
hæstlaunafólkinu?
Nei, það hjá þessum smávirkjum sem eru náttúrulega við náum ekki 10 fyrirtækjum 10 manns.
That's one thing, that's one thing.
Það var eitthvað sem heildarsöfnum myndi ná til, og það kannski eitthvað sem við myndum vilja stefna á, en við náum samt 84% af.
En feiti endin í dreifingunni sem hæstu launum, náðu honum?
Við náum honum.
And then there is another thing, not all reports are equally good qualitatively. So not all
Það sem hún að koma inn á þessar hækkanir sem við sjáum bara launatölubreytingar. Þannig að það er hækkanir starfsaldurs, við sjáum það ekki nákvæmlega. Þannig að við ætlum að fara að aðgreina áhrifin, það væri frekar erfitt, Og líka sem með stofnarsamlinga, þannig að fólk að hækka vegna meira ábyrgðar eða eitthvað því. Það var einhver leiti geðabreyting. En það er bara svo erfitt að ná utan. Þannig við sjáum þetta í gögnum. Og þá kannski þetta með þetta launaskriði sem þú talar hvað er það? Er það kjarasamningsbundnar hækkanir, starfssamningshækkanir, viðbótarnefndum? Á almenna markaðnum það ekki vel haldið utan til alltaf.
Seðlabankinn hefur þetta breytt niðurstöðum í peningum. Þannig að ég getur betur sagt þetta á fólks.
Já, bara heilsar launaskriði, ekki eitthvað sundurliðin á þessum þáttum. Við höldum bara utanum, bara eitthvað margir aðrir halda utanum einhvern veginn kjarasamningsbundnar hækkanir.
Svo sjáðu það mjög.
Já, svo erum við bara með launaskrið þar.
En svo menn eru líka að leika sér að launatöflunum og það náttúrulega mjög vel þekkt með skrifstofustjóra heitið í hjá hinn opinbera. Einu sinni þýddi það að þú varst með einn eða 2 eða 3 eða fleiri sem voru fyrir neðan þig, stjórnaði þeim, en svo var allt í voru allir í stjórnarráðinu orðnir skrifstofustjóra. Þannig að ég man eftir.
So one suggestion is this. We should take note of this, and I fully agree with this.
I want a statistical comment.
Yes, please.
What you're essentially doing, that you are trying to estimate simultaneously both the level and the change, and of some price or something like that. And if you estimate the change with a noisy measurement, and then you aggregate the changes, you will drift away from the level. That is inherent in the process. So what you need some kind of what is called in econometrics the error correction system, which tries to link the level.
But we're concentrating on the changes, not on the level.
No, but if you add the changes, you will eventually drift away from the level.
You will do. Yes.
So that is just inherent. And I think this Polish guy that I downloaded a paper maybe 10 years ago from that, and he analyzed this and documented this and showed this how this would affect just one type of occupation or something like that. And therefore I do not believe your friend Kim because she does not understand statistics.
Yeah, I think it's not true either. What I tried to estimate was just one instance.
Yeah.
One instance. Don't go over. You saw my slide with the stochastic effect. We were aware of that. So I tried to stay away from that. So I just take 2 points in that and then just see what happens for that. Because if you know what happens for that, well, you can try to draw some conclusion and work further if you can. But we were trying to estimate is there here on between these 2 sequences points in time anything. So,
if you have something or random variable in the numerator and you have another random variable in the denominator, then you know the statistics properties that will be a little bit complex.
Exactly.
So
I know.
You should take that into account. And therefore I am a believer of the stochastic approach to index theory, which your friend Kim and
he was not into that. No.
He's not into that. And Deaver, a famous index person, is not into that either.
Right. I know that, but and that's true, completely true. Yes. So, but this is the situation. If anybody has please some other ideas or some suggestions, please.
One extra comment. You mentioned the Americans.
Right.
And they have been producing a series. The institute that calculates the social security benefits in America. They have published some kind of a wage development since 1950, and they report this in some kind of an index fashion. But I do not know how they do it. But I know that these guys are not the same guys as produce the consumer price index. These are different guys.
Well, maybe it's more interesting.
Maybe you could say, well, how do they
calculate? If you have a link or something, can you share?
Google social security, wage index or something like that, you might get something. And in Sweden, you have something that they call wage index. Which they
but it's not exactly.
They do not believe in it, and they have 2 versions of it. One which is, lagged by 2 months, and another which is lagged by 12 months. And these two do not reflect the same story.
I know there are many issues in the Scandinavian. I heard the infinite discussions and no.
You said also that housing heterogeneity was easy.
Well, easier.
I don't think housing heterogeneity is easy. So I have 3 series from American houses, or you're using different methods.
No, I think characteristics are a bit easier to define. That's the easy part. The rest is not. But more obvious, more objective. True. So that's all we would do, but we hope for.
Are we done, or is there one more question? Or? Okay.
Some comment, something, some idea.
Comment or something?
Okay.
Sigrid.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.